This tutorial continues from the previous one, which dealt with the basic anatomy of a web page and starts looking at simple tags and the introduction of other tags, and then the introduction of what an attribute is as well. Okay, so we're just going to continue on from where we were and see where we go from there. Okay, so this is the example 2 dealing with simple tags, and if you just concentrate on this, you can see that the tag I'm introducing here is just simply a B and a B, and I guess you can all guess what the B stands for. It stands for bold. Okay, so it puts, what this does is, you can see the simple tag, there's an open tag here and a closing tag there. Okay, and what it does is whatever tag it deals with, it changes the effect of anything that happens between the open tag and the closing tag. So in this case here, it's putting whatever is between this bold tag and this bold tag in bold. Okay, so only the word this will appear in bold. Okay, so I'm going to jump over to my example and have a quick look at this and see how it works. Okay, so, and you can see here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the words online web development course in bold. Okay, so I'm going to put in a tag in here, B, and then right down to inside. You'll notice I'm going inside the full stop. I'm just going to go File, Save, and then refresh. Okay, and you can see that what appears here in bold is just the words online web development course. Okay, now you can do this for a letter, for a word, for a sentence, for a paragraph, or the entire document. Okay, I just want to show you a few things while I'm at this here, just to play around with this a little bit here. What I'm going to do is, at the end of this sentence here, I'm just going to press return a couple of times. Okay, and then I'm going to go File, Save, and when I click refresh here, watch what happens. Okay, what happens? Nothing. Okay, nothing happens. So what I'm after doing here is I'm after pressing return twice. Okay, another thing I'm going to do here is, in between web development and course, there's a space, as you can see here. What I'm going to do is put in a few spaces. I'm going to go File, Save, and then refresh. What happens? Absolutely nothing. So what can we conclude from this? Well, we can conclude that besides one space, it allows you one space, but all other spaces after that are ignored. So white space is ignored. As well as that, the return that I pressed in here, okay, is ignored. Okay, so it looks exactly the same now as it did a minute ago. Okay, it's ignored. So another thing I want to look at here very, very simply is that I'm going to change B to capital B. Okay, I'm just going to refresh that. That works as well. Okay, so tags are not case sensitive. So if I put in, for instance, head here, there's no effect on it. Okay, so as long as the word appears head, it doesn't make any difference if it's capital H, small e, capital A, and small d. If I just go File, Save, refresh, it's not case sensitive, right? Tags are not case sensitive, but what I put in between the tags, normal text is. So if I go online with capitals, I go File, Save, refresh. Okay, you'll see that that will appear in capitals. Okay, so I don't want it to appear in capitals, but you get the idea. Okay, online. Now you might ask yourself, while we're at this, why is title on the same line and all the rest of them aren't? Well, they aren't really. I mean, to be quite honest, if I put that on the next line, it has no effect on it. Okay, it still works. Okay, and the reason that they're spaced out like this, if you want to, you can actually put space in between them all. Or if you want to, you can put them all on the one line. And it makes, you know, have a look at this. It becomes very difficult to read if everything's on the one line, but you get the idea. File, Save, refresh. Okay? It actually works exactly the same way. So what I'm actually saying to you is, give yourself a bit of space so it becomes obvious what you're doing. It doesn't all get clustered up, and it doesn't get difficult to read. So give yourself plenty of space. So I'm going to put in a few spaces in here between body and body. And anything I put in, text I put in here, it'll create a bit of space here. And it works fine. Okay, so File, Save, and then refresh. And it works perfectly well. So what I'm after doing is after introducing a very simple bold tag. Now, I'm going to show you here, guys, what happens. Look, in this case here, I've opened it here and I've closed it here. It's not case sensitive. Just say I forget to close it. I go File, Save, Refresh. What happens is that it actually closes or opens bold here and doesn't close it at all. So all the text for the rest of the document will be in bold. Okay. Now, if I come along here and put that back in, it means that it closes it there. Even if you want all the text to remain in bold for the rest of the document, my advice would always be open it where you want it to open and close it at the end. Okay, always close the tag. Okay, get used to it. Some people do this, look, and they might have made a mistake and they put in bold and then they think they're closing it, but they're actually opening it again. Now, guys, I'm just going to go File, Save, Refresh. All right, in this case, you'll notice that it doesn't get any bolder from course on. Okay, so there's only one level of bold. So I'm just going to keep it simple there. File, Save, and Refresh. So what we were doing was learning a little bit about HTML and the way it works. And to be quite honest, we've learned a couple of things. White space is ignored. If we want to put in a paragraph break, we have to actually introduce an actual tag to do that. We can't just press return. Tags aren't case sensitive. You know, the rest is fairly straightforward. Okay, so just jump back to the PowerPoint for a second. Okay. Okay, what we're doing here is we're introducing what's known as a nested tag. A nested tag is a tag inside a tag. Now, it's very straightforward. We've got bold. So what we're going to do here is introduce italics. Okay, so I for italics. So what we've got here is we've got bold and italics for the word this, and all the rest is just normal text. Okay, so there's nothing unusual there with that. What it's showing you here, and you get this from maths or sums or whatever you want to call it, when you open a tag first, you normally close it last, and you open it second, you close it second last, and so on. Okay, so that's actually an actual format that we should get used to. But I can also say that if there's times, just say I wanted the word this to be in bold and italics, but I wanted the word document to be in italics, I would probably take this I over here and put that over there. So you'll see what I mean in the next one, what I do in the next example. So I'm going to just jump out here and looking at that there, jump out to the actual example here and just do that with this one here. So bold, I'm going to put in italics. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to close my italics after the word great. So while I said a minute ago it's good to open them in the right place and close them in the right place, you can also play around with these here. So what I'll have here is online web development course will be in bold and italics, and it is great will be in italics. So I'm just going to go File, Save, and then Refresh. Okay, and you can see that online web development course is in bold and italics, and it is great, it's just in italics. Okay, so you can play around with what's known as a nested tag, a tag inside a tag. We'll get well used to these because we'll be using them quite often. Okay, now what we're going to introduce is what's known as an attribute. Okay, and you can see it here. I'm just going to click on the next one here. You can see it here with this. Okay, an attribute. What is an attribute? An attribute is something that changes the properties of a tag. So my tag is body. It opens here and it closes here. Okay. If I go text equals blue, BG color equals white, what this means is it actually changes my text for all of my body, because this is within the body tag, and you can see that the tag opens here. All right. And the closing bracket is down here. So my attribute goes within that. Text equals blue, so it changes my text to blue, and my BG color, which stands obviously for background color, equals white. You will also notice that color is spelt the American way. Okay, that does not mean that HTML was created by an American or it's for an American market. It was actually created by an Englishman in Switzerland, but I've no idea why he's used the Americanisms, but he has. But anyway, You'll also notice words like grey, for instance, are spelled differently in American English as opposed to English, okay? So what you can do is you can put in any color that you want to, all right? Now, what I advise you to do here is have a little play around with this, okay? Have a play around with your color schemes, have a play around with what kind of colors you can come up with and how many colors you can come up with, okay? So I'm just going to see how this works. You will notice that because it's an attribute, I only need to put the attribute in the opening tag, okay? I don't have the closing body tag saying text equals blue, BG color equals white, okay? I don't have that, I don't need it, okay? So this is an attribute. An attribute is something that changes the properties of the tag, okay? So in my case here, I'm going to go text equals blue, or any color you want to, space BG color equals red. Okay, if I do this here, I'm going to go File, Save, Refresh. Okay, now for starters, it's difficult to read it. Okay, so but I'm just going to change this to something a little bit paler. So if I go yellow, it's paler, but it's still pretty ugly, okay? So remember this, okay? Where you're choosing your color, if you are going to put a background color on your website, be very careful with this, okay? Just a couple of simple rules. Contrast is good. So if you're using a text color, a dark text color, well then you use a light background color and vice versa. Another just simple rule of thumb, even though it's not, written in stone, is that it's easier to read dark text on a light background than it is light text on a dark background. But let's be honest, it's up to you to decide which one you want to go with. But contrast is good, okay? Now, I'm going to just talk about text for a second. Which colors should we try to avoid here? Well, just three simple colors I'm going to introduce here and maybe have a think about why you could try and avoid these colors. First one is blue, second one is red, third one is purple. Okay, any idea why we might try to avoid these three colors as your background color? So blue, red, purple as your background color. Why would we try and avoid them? Later on in this module, we'll be creating hyperlinks. And when you create a hyperlink, it turns blue. And if your background is blue and your hyperlink is blue, it'll be invisible to the user. Once you're clicking on a hyperlink, it turns red. And once you've clicked on a hyperlink, it turns purple. Okay, so with that in mind, those colors aren't great for when you're clicking on and when you've clicked on a hyperlink as well. So keep that in mind. Now, of course, we can change the colors of our hyperlink, and we'll show you how to do that when we get onto hyperlinks. But normally, if somebody sees something in blue with an underline on it, we automatically assume we can click on it. So there's actually that inbuilt kind of realization of what that is. And sometimes we don't want to remove that. So be very careful with this, okay? Right, the next thing I just want to say is how many colors can we think of, okay? At the moment, you might turn around to yourself and say, God, I can think of 14 different colors or 16 different colors or 18 different colors or whatever the case might be, okay? And some of you may already be trying some mad colors. You might be trying, royal blue, or you might be trying, some cerise or something like that, okay? So you might be trying some mad colors and they may not be working out for you, okay? Doesn't mean you can't use them. It just means that this naming protocol that we're using right now, might be difficult to deal with it, okay? But once we get into dealing with expression, I'm going to show you another way around this, and really we'll be playing around with the whole idea of your red, greens, blues, and we'll be putting in numbers for our colors, okay? Now we won't be making up these, we'll be literally using a color picker for them, and you'll see how we use that and how simple it is, okay? But for the moment, we're just learning a little bit about attributes, and that's fine, and it's nice to play around with that and see what colors we can come up with. Now for starters here, guys, I'm going to change this back from yellow to white here because it is hurting my eyes, okay? And I'm going to File, Save, and then refresh it, okay? And then I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint here. So with that in mind, we can play around with these and so on, okay? Now, I put in a little tag here just to show you that when we get on to expression, that we'll actually be using hashtags followed by 6 digits, okay, to pick out our color. And as I said, those 3 here are red, next 2 are green, and the next 2 are blue. Okay, so so when you're looking at this, you know, again, we don't need to start learning off what these things are. We'll be using a color picker, and this number will be created for us by something like Expression or Photoshop or whatever we're using at that point in time. So, you know, we'll get used to them very, very quickly. But with that method, we've gone from maybe being able to name, and even the best of us might be able to name 60, 70, 80 colors. But with this numbering method, we can achieve up to 16.7 million colors. And, you know, I challenge any of you to come up with 16.7 million names for colors. It won't happen. But anyway, so that is attributes.